soldier, writer, professor, father. These words describe two men that I know of, Indiana Jones and J.R.R. Tolkien. While Indiana Jones would certainly be a fascinating subject to talk about, Tolkien is a more realistic hero. Tolkien's childhood, his experiences in World War I, and his life in the academic world following that helped shape the world that we recognize today. And it reflects an ever-present fact about all of us, that without others to push us and help us strive to larger things, that we'd just be content with where we are today. In David Doan's 2002 article entitled J.R.R. Tolkien, a Biographical Sketch, found on www.tolkiensociety.org, Tolkien was born in 1892. He was orphaned at the age of 12, where he was then boarded into a boarding house. It was there that he met his future wife, Edith Bratt. And from the age of 12, again, he was very skilled in linguistics, and he had mastered the languages Greek and Latin, and had even invented some of his own, just for the heck of it. And with the outbreak of World War I in 1914, his relationship with Edith had caused some reluctance to enlist in the military. But in 1915, he did enlist, and in 1916, he was fighting on the Western Front. In Nancy Marie Ott's article in 2013, Tolkien and World War I, found on greenbooks.theonering.net, she calls to attention the parallels between World War I and Tolkien's literature, namely The Lord of the Rings. And common themes in both the event and the text are the destruction of nature, which Tolkien found just fascinating, and the theme of friendship, which really is clearly evident in the text, as Tolkien had lost many of his good friends in combat. Also during the war, he began developing his first short stories, such as The Tale of Beren and Luthien, which was a reflection of his relationship with his wife, Edith. In Stephen Hart's 2003 article, The Real Fellowship of the Ring, found on Salon.com, Tolkien settled down and became a scholar at Oxford University. He became professor of English and linguistics. It was there that he met C.S. Lewis, who had a profound effect on himself as a writer and as a man of religion. It was one night in 1931 that Tolkien, Lewis, and another scholar by the name of Dyson were arguing the existence of God, and more importantly, a Christian God. Both Tolkien and Dyson were in favor of Christianity, and Lewis was completely against, which, if you know anything about C.S. Lewis, you'll find that hard to believe. But it was that reawakening from Tolkien and Dyson that sparked Lewis's pursuit of literature and theological studies. And it was that reawakening in Lewis that inspired him to urge his good friend Tolkien to pursue writing himself. And that, in turn, led to the publishing of The Hobbit in 1937, which was hugely popular. And Tolkien is quoted with saying, "Only from him did I get the idea that my stuff could be more than a private hobby." And so he's just showing his appreciation for his good friend. Vanessa Eccles' 2013 article, reflecting on the life and works of J.R.R. Tolkien, found on literaryyard.com, details the extent, the remainder of Tolkien's life, and it was a quiet one, and he just spent the remainder of his life writing, mostly just coming up with stories for his children and for those around him. And he was an accomplished author, but many of his works remained unpublished, as he was just never satisfied with where he was going. His wife Edith died in 1971, followed by Tolkien himself in 1973. His life is summarized by the last words he ever wrote. "It is stuffy, it is sticky, and rainy here at present, but forecasts are more favorable." These words certainly reflect his life, as both his childhood and young adult life were riddled with tragedy, with the death of his parents and the death of many of his friends in the war. But his later years were very peaceful and harmonious, and he really came into his own and just found himself in his writing and literature. The experience of Tolkien affected literature and religion alike, with the tragedies that he dealt with, but it was that devout faith that he had and that belief in something greater that really got him through. And unlike Indiana Jones, Tolkien is a very real hero. And it wasn't due to any act on his behalf. It was all due to those around him. It was the love of Edith that drove him to war just to protect her. And it was the war that led to his love of literature and writing. And it was the writing that let him become a scholar at Oxford. And from there, he became friends with Lewis, and that friendship developed into his own writing pursuits. And so, that's all it really takes. And here we are today. We're just so complacent with where we are. We just sit day to day, do our homework every night, don't really aspire to anything greater. But sometimes all it takes is a little push, either from friends, family, or the world around you, to accomplish wonders.